This is a fake website.
This is a little ridiculous.
And this is just Paul. Listen, I decided to tell this very recent story of mine so that I could potentially help, warn, protect other people that might have fallen into the same trap, despite it making me look like the biggest fucking idiot I've ever met. I give advice. I have a bachelor's degree in art. I'm not usually this big of a moron. Oh God.
What is this?
So I am now part of one of the biggest unofficial clubs in the entire world, human beings affected at all by a pandemic. And right away when the entire population was told that they had to stay inside and not go into their jobs, which are things that help you to pay your entire rent, pretty much everybody started to panic. And cats like me, who are just 2 years away of paying off my student loans, wanted to find the best solution for not having any money at the end of the month. And that's when I learned the new word, forbearance. It basically means that you put off any kind of loan that you have until you are ready to pay it. I had never heard that word before, but now I was dealing with something that I had to take charge of because it was my own finances, and I'm an adult, not even like a young adult anymore. I'm a full-blown ass adult, living that 20 to 27 age range in Hollywood dream. So I moseyed on over to Naviant's website to see what I could do to save off paying any more money to anything until I actually have an income again. And of course, like most websites that have a service that exchange any money at all, there was a big giant banner that talked about the COVID-19 outbreak, and it was an issue as if we didn't hear about it yet. I knew that I had to forbear my loans. And I was looking all over this page and any of the literature on where I would go, who I would call, what I would do to then get forbearance. And they didn't make it that easy. I wanted a phone number. Picked up my phone. I turned on Google Chrome browser and I typed in Navient and I hit on the first big, bold company phone number that I see. For naviantstudentloans.com, every time I come across something in the story that I, in retrospect, can view as a red flag, I'm going to put a little red flag on the screen. This woman was very pleasant sounding. She picked up the phone so fast, in fact, that I was like visibly impressed, and I was like, oh my God, a human, wow, cool. Right. And she was like, yes. I was fully prepared with a speech that I knew that the companies were used to hearing all day. Hello, I'm a former student. I have loans with your company. I was affected by this pandemic, and I am asking to forbear my loans. So the very nice voiced lady that got on the other end, she started spouting off a bunch of jargon, if I'm not mistaken, like as if she had to read some really, really quick disclaimers. If I could just give myself one little defense, I'll put a little shield maybe on the screen. One of the reasons that I really didn't question what I was doing or what I was agreeing to was because this whole time, I was certain that I was on the phone with the company Navient that I think I've talked to before. I've at least paid their bills every month for years now. I clicked on something that was called naviantstudentloans.com, and I think that there's a representative on the other line rushing me through a process that she's probably done just 56 times by lunch. And I'm just trying to expedite the process as well and really get this over with because there were 18 pages of an unemployment PDF that I had to fill out afterwards. And I really just wanted to leave it up to the experts to just guide me by the hand and take me to this rightful place. So my operator took my information and I opened a brand new account through portals in my own emails that she was sending me that allowed me to see an entirely new interface. I was kind of confused, but again, still not really knowing how this is supposed to go. I see what's a separate account page from Navient with the heading Student Processing LLC to introduce me to the new people I'd be dealing with to forbear my loans for a temporary amount of time. You'd think that it would just be like, cool, we pressed a button and we paused them. But no, I have this entire new system of payment where I had to give $300 that day to the company, $200 in 2 months, and then $59 for the following months after that. For her first point of business, she had me sign a contract. Now, again, we've been exchanging a couple words, a little bit of jargon. I was telling her my situation, even though I knew she heard it time and time again. And she basically told me to initial and sign wherever it said to. It was actually a really easy PDF signer that I was working with, and I was kind of impressed by it because it made it so easy to just kind of swim right through without really, needing to read. I do remember saying, man, I'd like to read this. And she was very casual, and she was just like, you'll get one in your email. I did, by the way. And maybe we'll look at it. But I definitely wasn't reading it there. I was just trying to go as fast as I possibly could so that we could close this all up and I could be along my way. So now that I have this new account and I'm all set up because I gave her my card number, my social security, my birthday, my full name, my passport number, and everything short of my bank account number and my mother's middle name, I was finally ready to make a payment. And she basically closed everything up with me and said, all right. Right then, as I was getting off the phone with her, I got a notification. It was a fraud alert from my bank. They were sending me an email and a text because they wanted to make sure I got it, that suspicious activity was being charged on my account. In the very few seconds that I was not on phone with this operator, I get that fraud alert, and I also see that in Navient, nothing has changed. I refreshed the page, and it still says that I owe my payment by April 1st. And that made me wonder if the company I was dealing with was connected to Navient at all. But by the time I could even process any of that doubt, my operator called right back. She called to tell me that the payment did not go through. And I, now becoming extremely hot under the collar, that kind of panic that you feel when you realize you did something very wrong, I started to freak out a little bit and I said, yeah, I got a fraud alert from my bank and now I'm not sure if this is a good idea or if you're even real. Like, I'm saying to this scammer, am I being scammed? And she said, no. So I said, okay. She actually sounded so fucking annoyed, like she hears this all the time. She goes, no, ma'am, we are the people that were assigned to take care of this for Navient. Or maybe she never said Navient. Like, quite possibly to make sure that she didn't perjure herself. Not that I was smart enough to record it anyways. But honestly, that was all that I needed to be reassured at this time. And I pressed accept the charge on the email that was warning me against a fraudulent purchase. And then she was gone, and I was left with my computer to start Googling for the first time the company that seemingly just took $300 out of my account. So first, I went to the website navientstudentloans.com. And I'm forwarded to this joker of a site that has a duplicate in their heading that is We Doc Prep, whatever that is, talking about how we can help you with Navient student loans. So I'm reading, I'm trying to see, any more information about what this is. And I go down to the bottom key where you're usually able to contact people or find out more information, and none of the footer links are hyperlinked. They're just kind of pasted down there. And so I copy and paste Student Processing LLC. One unhappy customer tells us, after they got my information, no more phone calls. The student forgiveness program told me to give them a picture of my driver's license and social security card. When they tried to get the money out of my account, it declined. That did give me the idea to call the company back to get some more information, possibly. When I did, though, unlike the first time when the woman picked up on the first ring, I got elevator music for about 15 minutes until I finally gave up. And when I got off the phone, I went back to the original listing that I called the number from, and I realized for the first time that it was actually an ad, and that's why it was at the top of my Google search, not because it was the first thing that you should be clicking on. On top of all of that, it was just all starting to sink in, and I was sitting with myself, I was being pensive, and I realized that the whole time I was dealing with these people, I had Naviant's website open in my browser. I was practically staring at it the whole time, and I could so simply see that Naviant's website was not navientstudentloans.com, it was just navient.com, as if you guys didn't already get it, but I was scammed. And if you've watched any amount of my channel thus far, you most likely have seen one of my biggest hits. They took my identity and $10,000. That particular event detailed a bank account hack where I woke up in the morning and automatically had $10,000 drained out of my savings account. But it wasn't actually through any real volunteer fault of my own, because I never approved of any transactions made like that. This one, however, was all me. But at least I had my bank on speed dial, so I knew who to call. I told her of the pending charge that I could see in my account under Student Processing LLC. And she said that they actually couldn't do anything about the fraud until it cleared. And all that she could do at the time was get me a new debit card with a new debit number, and this one would be deactivated. And so I was trying to be like, is there any other alternative? And she said, well, you can call them back and ask them to cancel the transaction. And so I'm like, you want me to call the person who scammed me back and ask them to cancel the payment? She said, yeah, as if she was the stupidest person in this entire story. I guess I'll just have to cancel my card and get a new one. But it wasn't until that night, until pretty much everything had settled. I knew that I'd probably be getting the money back after I explained how distraught I was over being so duped. And I remembered, I signed a contract. So I literally had to turn my lights on, get out of bed, and I downloaded that contract. It says things like, to cancel, client must send written communication to Cancellation Processing Center with an extra R at gmail.com. You best know that despite understanding what I was dealing with was 100% a runaround, I emailed that email just to make sure we're covered. To this day, I'm not 100% sure what I'm beholden to within that bogus, very ambiguous contract that doesn't actually say any new numbers, but definitely has my full address in it. But I did get a new debit card, and I just saw the $300 fraudulent go back into my account. And 2 days later, Navient automatically forbore everybody's loans as an across-the-board measure. So if I just would have been my lazy self and waited another 48 hours, I would have never had to call anybody. I would have just had to sit there. Actually, there is one more thing we could try in this entire little scenario. Let's just try one more time. See if this company will answer some of my questions.
The number you have dialed is unallocated.
Unallocated?
Welcome to Verizon Wireless.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Well, looks like I won't be talking to any loan service representatives today. These are such uncertain times, and it's a little strange to traverse them when we don't even know what's going to happen next or when anything is going to start moving again. But I do want to say that I am here to entertain you. Ring that bell because I do have a special announcement that I will be bringing henceforth in the middle of the week so that you can possibly be getting a little bit more of me, cause not like I'm going anywhere. And this is my outro.